We are talking about how to make your Biosketch stand out from the crowd. So if you're new around here, I'm Sarah Dobson. I am a research grant consultant, and my team and I help early career researchers get funded at NIH. So let's talk about the Biosketch, and let's talk about how you can make your Biosketch stand out from the crowd. And so there's really two main places where you're going to be doing this. The two places where you have a bit more wiggle room in terms of what you can include there. And those are the two narrative sections of the Biosketch: your personal statement and your contributions to science. So we're going to talk about what you can do in each of those sections to make them really stand out, to really impress your reviewers. But let's just talk quickly about your strategy for the Biosketch more generally in terms of making it stand out. And really my biggest recommendation here is that you tailor your Biosketch to each and every grant that you submit. I know that's probably not what you have seen done by your colleagues, by your mentors, but if there is one piece of advice that I want you to take from this entire series that we're doing on the Biosketch, it's to tailor your Biosketch to each and every grant that you submit. And the reason why it's so important to do that is because you want to make sure that you are showing a clear connection between your skills and experience and expertise and what you are proposing to do in your grant. And you're not just doing that for your own skills and experience and expertise. That is true of the entire team that you are proposing to spearhead this project, right? You really need to demonstrate to your reviewers that everybody on the team is in the right role. And so the main way that you do that is through the Biosketches. So again, you always want to tailor your Biosketch, yours and everyone else's on the team who's required to submit a Biosketch. Everybody's Biosketch should be tailored to the project. This is probably going to involve following up with a bunch of people and asking them to do something that perhaps they are not accustomed to doing, and that is updating their Biosketch. And we can talk about that in subsequent sessions, but let's get into the personal statement and contributions to science in terms of what you can actually do to tailor those sections to the project that you're proposing and really make sure that your Biosketch is going to stand out. So first, let's talk about the personal statement. So this one is really a bit more biographical, right? It's an opportunity for you to showcase your skills and experience. But more important than that, it's where you make that connection between your skills and experience and past experience and accolades and all of that. It's where you connect that to your specific roles and responsibilities on the project. So it's really important that you state explicitly what your role is on the project and what exactly you're going to be doing. And this is a mistake that I see a lot on Biosketches. You talk about your skills and expertise and experience, but you don't ever mention what you're actually doing on the project. And that is a really big missed opportunity. It's an important way to make that connection between what you bring to the table and what you're actually going to be doing on the project. So make sure you have a clear statement about what your role is on the project. The other advantage of that is it means that you are not taking up a lot of space within the main body of the grant, explaining your role and everyone else's in terms of what they're going to be doing. You can spend some time in the Biosketch doing that and explaining it in a bit more detail. Of course, in your Biosketch, you only have 5 pages total, so you do have to be a bit judicious about what you include in the personal statement and the contributions to science, but there's usually an opportunity to expand a bit on what you bring to the table and how that relates specifically to what you're going to be doing on the project. So you want to talk Again, your roles and responsibilities on the project, your expertise, including training, education, research, your research area, and any sort of relevant technical skills that are necessary for the success of this project, right? You also want to talk about your experience with previous projects and any sort of publications that relate to, we'll get to publications in a minute, but you do want to talk about previous projects, committees, advisory roles, that sort of thing that may influence your role and responsibilities on this particular project. More importantly than that, you want to kind of tie that together for your reviewers and explain how your expertise and your experience is uniquely beneficial to the project, right? And uniquely beneficial is really important here, because one of the things you want to avoid in any NIH project is redundancy in roles, right? If you are asking for salary support for a bunch of different people on the project and they're all essentially doing the same thing, or your reviewers can't figure out what the difference is between what person A and person B is doing, that is not great. So you really do want to make sure that you are linking what you've just said about your skills and experience and expertise to what is unique about your contribution to this project, right? Or what is uniquely beneficial about what you're doing to this project. You might also talk about your role in producing preliminary data that informs the supporting evidence for the current proposal. You can talk about previous and ongoing research grants from the past 3 years that, again, informs your current role on the project and relates to the work that you're doing on the project. If you are an early stage investigator, you definitely want to mention that in the personal statement section of your biosketch. You might also want to mention any of the current team members on the proposed project that you've worked with in the past, and what kind of products have resulted from that research. So publications, grants, that sort of thing. Again, we will get to the specifics of that in a minute, but what I hope you're seeing here is that you really want to take this opportunity to show where you're at with your research and your skills and your expertise and your experience, and how it relates specifically to what you're going to be doing on this project. And that's really what I mean by tailoring, right? If it's relevant, and it might be relevant for many of you recently, of course, so circumstances related to a break in productivity, this is where you would mention that as well in your personal statement. And again, you want to talk about grants and publications. And so this is where I have a lot of questions usually about how to do this well. And so my recommendation here is you want to choose, first of all, the grants that you want to highlight. And if you're early in your career, that might be all of them, right? So look at the specific guidelines for Biosketch, but it's usually recently completed or ongoing grants. And so you can include that list now in your personal statement, right? The other thing you want to do at the end of the Biosketch is include up to 4 publications, right? And so what I see a lot is people who just sort of dump those 4 publications with zero explanation. It's just like, here are 4 publications, but there's no context for why you've included those specific ones, right? And so when it comes to grants, but especially to the publications that you choose to include at the end of your personal statement, explain why you chose those ones, right? Why are they there? Why did you choose those 4? And you want to make sure that there's some sort of unifying theme. If the unifying theme is that these were published in high impact journals, great, say that. If it's because they highlight the productivity of folks who are on this grant that you've worked with previously, great, say that. If they highlight the, if they highlight something else about the research, like if they highlight specific technical skills that you have that you bring to the project, say that. Just make sure that you're contextualizing what those 4 publications are. It's a missed opportunity to just dump them there and not explain why. Okay, so that's the personal statement section. Those are my recommendations for how you can really make your personal statement section stand out by really, again, tailoring it to the proposal by highlighting your skills and expertise and experience as they relate to the project that you are proposing. Okay. Now let's talk about contributions to science. This is one I really do feel like I bang my head against the wall a lot. I mean, I've seen so many biosketches at this point, and one of the most basic things that you can do that will dramatically improve the contributions to science section for you in your biosketch is to just follow the NIH instructions. It's truly that simple. So let me read those instructions to you so you know what I am talking about, okay? So the instructions for this section, the contributions to science section, are: for each contribution, indicate the following. Number one, the historical background that frames the scientific problem. Number two, the central finding or findings. Number three, the influence of the finding or findings on the progress of science or the application of those findings to health and technology. Number four, your specific role in the described work. So if that is all you do, if you just follow step by step what the NIH is instructing you to do in the contribution to science section, you will be miles ahead of most folks. But on top of that, I do have a few extra tips for you that will really enhance how those contributions to science are presented, okay? So what I recommend that you do here, there's really a strategic opportunity for you to list your contributions rather than just areas of research. So this is another big mistake I see on the biosketch, is people just sort of continuing on from the personal statement in terms of a chronology of their career. And that is not what contributions to science is really about. It is, again, the highlight of your career in terms of what you are actually contributing to the advancement of your field, right? So you don't want to just talk about it in terms of broad areas of research. You want to get really specific on what the contribution is. And again, depending on the project you're proposing, you can sort of frame the way that you describe the contribution to science so that it is aligned with what you are proposing, right? So you want to make sure that with every one of your contributions to science, you are including a title for that contribution that describes what the contribution actually is. Again, it's not just your program of research, it's what the contribution is, right? So make sure that when you are listing out your contributions, that you are highlighting them in terms of what the actual contribution is and not just the area that you're working in. Okay, so that is one of the, aside from just following the NIH instructions, really making sure that you're highlighting what the contribution is in terms of using that as the title of the contribution is really, really important. And so that's really the other big piece there. So for your contributions to science, again, it's about following those NIH instructions and just doing it in the order that they describe it, and then making sure that you have a title for each of your contribution that actually describes what the contribution is and not just sort of the general area that you're working in. So all of that will help your biosketch stand out from the crowd. And please trust me, I have read hundreds of biosketches at this point, and this is my best advice for you on really how to make it stand out and how to make sure that it relates really clearly to the project that you are proposing. So if you found this helpful and you're looking for more support on your next NIH grant, we have a free resource library that is full of tips and tools and resources for you to guide you along in writing a better, clearer, more persuasive grant. So you can sign up for that free resource library at the link in the video description, and I will see you next time.